Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bil Hatch, the third, coming to you live from the palatial home studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Santa Ana, California. Joining me as per usual in studio is my friend, my brother in Christ, the disembodied voice of Rudy.
I love you all. Waka 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 with the Lord.
And joining us from a more than acceptable safe social distance are my guests for today. There is a long list, so hold on. First, there is Rox Burkey. I don't know, Rox, where are you calling from?
I'm actually in Austin, Texas today,
Austin,
Bill.
Texas. Wow, that's cool. I like Texas. I was in Dallas, Fort Worth not too long ago, and definitely a beautiful place with lots of good barbecue. And
Absolutely. Yum.
yep. And we also have Charles Breakfield. Charles, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Dallas.
Oh, okay,
Sir.
you're in Dallas. Nice. That's
Yeah.
definitely, it seems Texas is the place to be today. Except for our third guest, returning contestant, is Richard Blank, calling from Costa Rica's call center. How you doing, Richard?
I'm doing great, Bill. Charles Rox, it's really nice to meet you. I can't wait to spend some time with you and your amazing audience today, Bill.
Oh, it is a pleasure. It is I have been looking forward to today for some time, and because we always have interesting conversations, and one of your shows has been one of the most popular we've had so far. So the one you did with Tony.
I think it's because of our good looks.
I
That's
think
why.
so.
Sure. I like it.
And Richard, you definitely have a winning smile. It's getting me plenty wakened up this morning, even without coffee.
Do you know how sunny it is down here in Costa Rica? It's beautiful. The top is down on my car. Of course, I'm smiling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's we have a pretty sunny day today too. A little overcast, but if I had my convertible out here, I would definitely have the top down. What kind of car do you got?
I got two, actually. I have a 1992 Volkswagen Cabriolet convertible
Okay.
and a 99 CLK, but I prefer
Nice.
the old Cabriolet. It's just, it's chill, zips in and out of traffic,
you go.
economical, and it's just such a classic ride.
Yeah, I bet. So so let's see. Charles and Rox, you've co-written a series of books called the Enigma series.
That's correct. Yes, we have.
Awesome. And it has to do with technology.
Well,
It
we're
does.
both technologists. Go ahead, Rox. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to step over
No,
you.
no, you're fine. No, it does. It has a foundation of technology, but then we have a thriller story that comes on top of that because we honestly believe technology is today's weapon of choice.
Mm-hmm. That's a great tagline there. The weapon of choice.
What's really curious, though, is that Rox and I first started and worked heavily in, dare I say it, the contact center space, Richard. So we were installing contact centers for Nortel early in the first part of this century. So it was that's kind of that's her specialty going forward. She's the contact center guru from whenever I have questions on, okay, if I have to fix this, so what do I do for that? And if she calls me on unified communications questions and says, if it does this, what does that mean? So we slap technology back and forth between our two day jobs.
And yeah, I saw on your bio that you have a lot of wide and varied interests. Now where did I put my notes? Reminds me of myself. I do a million different things, and I do final expense insurance, and I'm going to be starting a leadership mastermind this coming year, and I also, of course, do the podcasting, but but yeah, and love books and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, what is that leadership
Oh,
discussion?
I
Or
teach.
what, can you elaborate on that? I'd like to hear a little
I
more
teach
about that.
a style of leadership development called ethical leadership development, and which includes its
Okay.
basic premise is to bring the team and the greater community closer together to the leader of the group, so that they prop him or her up, instead of isolating the leader like some processes do. The leader must be a rock or an island unto himself and or herself, and keep people at arm's length. It includes actionable behaviors like you can tell I'm still working on the wording. Uh, I'm not as refined as one might think, but it includes actionable behaviors like humility, controlled discipline, and justice, and it's just a great way of being a manager, or leader, depending on the style of your organization. And I plan this year to have a mastermind based on that. At least one mastermind. I'm
Okay.
hoping for two, but that's the stretch goal for the year. It's two masterminds, but I'll be happy if I hit the one.
That's amazing. So it's like the ultimate
Yes.
from what I'm hearing. It's much more of a leader role and a guide role than a manager. So it's center out as opposed to top down.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like the ripples on a pond.
Yeah.
And hopefully the managers, the leaders who I've been advised to try to change my language from leaders to managers because people understand that better. But yeah, it's to not only have them reach their team, but the greater community around them, to bring everybody together, both the locational community and the community that surrounds the members of the team. So families and friends and what all else, so that people become more involved.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback on it, because that fills in tells me a little bit about your passion, the things that you like to do. I mean, I believe in that the leaders should follow. And that's if they're not promoting their people, then that's not really the kind of person that's going to be successful in today's environment. I mean, Rox, you've got a lot more experience in this area for the customer experience stuff that you do, and this sounds very similar to some of the things you're working.
No, it is. It's very much along that way of listening to the group as a whole, whatever that group is, be it a working group or a family group or a community group, and trying to make sure that the direction is taking those interests into account. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything, but certainly being aware of that. So I think that's awesome, Bill. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm really excited and nervous about it, and all the feelings that come with a new project. But
well, I think your experience is obviously going to work well for you. Nerves probably shouldn't be there. It's
probably not, but it is nonetheless. But yeah, Richard's got some experience definitely in that area as well, and don't want to leave him out in the cold.
So yeah, Richard, what kind of damage control does your contact center do? I mean, usually by the time that you get to the contact center, you get to a live human being, somebody's usually frosted about something, and so you have to do temper management, anger control, a little bit of psychology, you know, it sounds like you have to have all disciplines to be able to run a contact center.
That's a good point, Charles. And it's amazing. Rox have this experience. Obviously, the three of us sold our souls for this industry. And Hollywood really portrays the front side of it, like the showroom. And they never show you what's in the back and what Rox does on the IT side. And
Yeah.
Charles, what you and I do on the onboarding side. I do things a little bit differently. And in fact, you guys could run circles around me in regards to IT and technology. In order for me to have grown my business, I needed to delegate and bring in professionals. I'm a guest in this country. I'm a marketer and I'm a salesman and a trainer. So I needed the accountants and the attorneys and human resources and IT. And so by having that leap of faith in people allowed me to grow. But this is the foundation training. And I can answer your question real quickly, Charles, in regards to the incoming shrapnel that you're talking about. When people come into my call center, because there is a lot of options here, Amazon's in Costa Rica with teleperformance, concentric sites, you name it. How do I compete? Well, first and foremost, I know somebody's name. And Bill, I know you. Everyone's going to know your name and you'll know everyone's name in your leadership group. Secondly, I ask them to give me a coming of age moment. I just don't want the interview. I want to hear when you beat up a bully and saved a kitten. Why? So I can use that on rainy Wednesdays. I really see the depth of the individual that I'm dealing with. Learning a second language is 10 times harder than any campaign, Charles. So whatever they yell at them, come on, learning English is right up there. And since I've been in those shoes, like the three of us have, I can relate to them. I'm not just writing checks. I'm amazing on the phone and I'm able to receive those calls. I think by extending empathy, and leadership is really showing sincerity and being consistent, not just showing up on time and doing those sort of things. It's the sort of stuff by merit. By merit alone, individuals raise the ranks. And instead of doing it through backstabbing or through office politics, the people that do get promoted and that do have the longevity in this industry are the ones that have that sort of foundation that you and I are talking about. And so the people that come with me, I'm going to know your name, I'm going to invest in you, I'll work on your vocabulary to give you more diplomacy and strategy and give you similes and work on phonetics and use the QC department. But finally, I'm going to give you your dignity. And I'm going to make sure that you get the sort of respect that you deserve. And by doing that, my friends, I can reduce attrition. And Charles, when that stuff is coming in, they realize that they can understand positions, thanking them for sharing it with them, giving them the leverage to fix it, and also knowing that their boss supports them. So as long as they have their composure and show good faith, I think they could really resolve these phone calls in the sort of way that we're looking for, so we can retain the client and not lose them.
Exactly right. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we've only seen the unpleasant side, and I won't get into some of the things that we've had to endure. I mean, contact center agents that 1 week they were, rock stars, just hitting it out of the park, and then the next week they were being escorted out because they were juicing the system. So it's we're enablers for people like you. That's the technology, the foundation, the bits and bytes. And it's unfortunately we don't get to focus on, here's all the swell stuff that Richard knows how to be able to do to promote people, move them forward emotionally, career-wise, because contact centers are not typically, the best place to go for a career, because it's like, okay, that's all you're going to do is answer the phone. Well, it's not like you've got a way to be able to take that and make that different, and that's.
Charles, let's think of it for a second.
I honestly think that the technology, and I'm sorry, Richard, but I think the technology has changed that from when we were originally deploying contact centers, because we can use the technology tools that are available to recognize those people and their wins of the day or wins of the moment. So that recognition helps drive them to stay with the organization, as opposed to, run for the hills after they've been there for 10 minutes. So I think that some of that has changed. And part of it is exactly what you said, Richard. It's the dignity of knowing that, someone respects their opinion and respects their process. And it's the empathetic side that they deliver that will help them.
I couldn't agree more. Today, the call centers are preferring omni-channel non-voice support. You see it, chat and emails. Charles, you know that at least if somebody works in a call center, it doesn't need to be for the life like I did. I'm an old gladiator. But you know that they're building on their self-reliance and self-confidence and interpersonal communication skills. Because more people are typing, less people are speaking. They don't know turn taking or even active listening. So if anything of nothing, working at a call center will increase those skills. And finally, Rox, we have so much competition down here that, yeah, sure, the agents can test a center because there's options out there. How do we retain them when someone could pay them more? Your boyfriend or girlfriend works there, closer to home, better schedule because of your college. That's natural attrition. The one thing the three of us know, and will never happen when we're working with contact centers, we'll never give them the walk of shame or make them cry on the floor or deliberately throw them out the door like you said, Charles. My friend, I'll have at least 5 preventative checkpoints before that even gets there. And if I gotta throw in some Philly guilt just to make them sure I'm not angry at you, I'm just very disappointed in you. If I can't do that, Hail Mary, then yes, it's time to go. But we've invested so much. I think we should try to do the best we can to retain these agents.
Very refreshing. I'm glad there's somebody that's taking the the high moral ground in that discussion, because it was something that that was part of my past, and I was tier 3 tech support in a contact center space, and when it got escalated to me, it was usually pretty ugly. Questions like, they can't figure out what's wrong. The servers are down. This is, so I've had to do the contact center stuff, tier 3 tech support for 36 hours straight. So, those are times that, you're like, that really tests your mindset. And it sometimes it's like, okay, that's, those were good lessons. I learned a lot. I wouldn't trade them for anything.
Character during chaos, Charles. That's it. You saw who yourself was when they needed you the most.
Yeah.
So, Richard, how do you think COVID and work from home have impacted your delivery and your message to contact center folks?
Thank you for bringing that up. And it's actually the topic that ails me the most. I believe in synergy. We're in a very interactive, artistic environment, and you can feed off of that, especially somebody who's having a very good day. And so I was very thankful that during COVID, I was able to adjust and have people work from home. We're very fortunate. But I became a print, Rox. I'm not a painting anymore. I don't have the chance to play pinball with them downstairs. Or walk the rows or break bread with them. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Or standing behind them when they're ripping phone. That was taken away from me. And am I still able to perform? Sure. They're saving money, they're saving time, they're at home. We make sure through the sort of internet connections that they are capable through labor laws to work from home, and we do the Zooms and everything. But we lost a beautiful thing that we once had, and I think helped build a sort of company culture. So what I try to do at least is be very selective of the campaigns that come in. I like to onboard people on site at least so I can know you before sending you home. But Rox, if I don't do that, the three of us will lose an enormous amount of leverage when hiring, because the agents now, it's a seller's market. And if they can prove metrics, performance, responsibility, and stability, and internet redundancy, then by all means, they have the pick of the litter. So I have to share that with my client in a very forthright way. I just don't expect everybody to be lining up outside to work on site. You may need to be flexible, and that, as you were mentioning, may adjust the sort of company culture that we may be building.
So have you been actively using some of the gamification tools that are coming out to specifically focus on creating that synergy between call center staff?
I go old school. Come on, we're Generation X. I collect pinball machines, Pac-Man machines, and air hockey tables and jukeboxes. These
I
machines are older
know.
than the agents. So we go downstairs and it's not virtual pinball, and it's to hang out with me, to make a best friend, let off steam, recharge batteries. But how about this, guys? Prior to any sort of training class, I will make sure the first half an hour the 10 agents are in the arcade so they can relax, make friends, and instead of just absorbing, now they're contributing in class. You've almost started warmed up, like if you do cardio before weights in a
There
gym.
you go. Mhm.
And so, yes, ma'am, I have more than encouraged any business owner and environment to have a gamification culture. Absolutely.
Yeah, it does help. It helps from the internal competition that some people have just to kind of, hey, I can do this, as well as a learning step to doing it better. So I'm glad to see that. Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you talk about gamification, and Richard's right there in the game, as it were. Yeah, I love the gaming culture as a way to focus competitiveness, and because it shouldn't be about competing against each other, but of course competing against oneself. Because the one can be damaging and the other can be affirming.
Yep.
But yeah, what do you think about creating competitive environments in the workplace? Anybody?
Oh, I think it's very important to create that in the workplace, but I do think it has to have a level of guardrails on it, because people sometimes don't have the right mindset to be able to compete in a positive way, as you were saying, but it's more of a domineering way, which is how you get the backbiters and the climbing over individuals to get to a different goal. So there has to be some level of leadership guidance, Bill,
Yeah.
to make that a better kind of thing.
Yeah. I come from part of my background in sales is the automotive industry, and there's definitely a competitive environment there, but it is so toxic. It was one of the things that guided me toward ethical leadership. Or it kind of started me on the road to that, because I saw how horrible it was in the definitely a huge everything was a competition, but it was all about like you said, the backbiting and underhanded tactics and making ridiculous goals and whatnot, and I found an opportunity to go back to school, and while I was there, I met a man who had become one of my mentors, and he took me into his business, and where we developed my first leadership program, and this is a dozen years ago now, but yeah, just which started the path, which et cetera, brings me to ethical leadership and ways to bring the team together, so that not only are the other people in your workspace your competitors, they're also your cheerleaders, because nobody wants to feel alone, but if you can get the crew to be in the bandstands, screaming and cheering somebody on with excitement as they're about to break a record, or beat their best call time, or whatever metric you're using, It's just a night and day compared to where I came from.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I should learn to ask more questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No,
We need-
so what do you think about that? Yeah, I should take up therapy as a side gig, and every time I say something, I should ask, what do you think about that? But
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, the high moral ground that you refer to, leading by example, that's very much the foundation in our storyline of books. We've got
okay.
Yeah, to give you some backstory on the Enigma series.
Yeah.
It actually we wrote the series after we got the 12 books done, because we had people saying, where do these people come from? I mean, how come? Why? And so it was like, well, that's a good question. So we dug back into our data banks that we call little gray cells, and we started kicking around the idea that in 1939, when the Germans launched their attack against Poland, they blew through the country so fast that it was and they brought atrocities and exploited and all the unpleasant things that you read in history. But there were three men who decided that no, we're going to hit back somehow. We're going to take the fight back to them, and they steal the Enigma machine from the Germans and make a copy of it. And it's the device that they use to encrypt all of their communications traffic, their battle plans, their instructions for field officers to be able to do, their ambassadors. Everything was encrypted through this device. And so to break the code meant that they could, the Allies could have a one-upmanship against the Axis powers. Well, these three men turned their treasure over to the Allies to help with the war, and then made a copy of it, and they built an information dynasty called the R Group. And they're grounded in the thinking that we're here when everything looks horrible, everything looks bad. These are the people that you want on your side to help rectify, bring justice to to an unjust scenario, to basically help push the moral issues to the top and help fight the injustices that are showing up in today's time across the darknet. You know, the exploitations, the ransomwares, let me take your support grid offline and hold you for monetary ransom. Those are the bad guys, and our good guys are there to be able to help fight for what's right.
And Richard, that's that you were talking about within a contact center. There are good synergies that you can cultivate and develop to make teams work well together and to all raise their level of accomplishment and ability. And then unfortunately, that same kind of energy used in a negative way, like what's happening across the darknet today, works against people because somebody's self-centered as opposed to having any kind of morals or ethics to go with it. So, I think we're closer related than I had thought initially. So thank you, Bill.
Hey, don't blame me for any accidental synergies. It's all the system. Actually, people randomly get paired up. I don't even know. Well, I mean, I could know who's who on it long before we get to it, but I generally don't, because I like to be surprised by the connections that we make during these calls. But yeah, it is funny that that you all are all in similar industries. and yeah, that's funny. Now, if I counted right on the list, there are 11 Enigma books.
Actually, there are 12.
12.
And then
Okay.
and then the Out of Poland is the novella. It's the prequel.
Okay.
And so what we do is we take the technology that we see day in day out, and we build in fictional characters, and basically it's almost a tutorial. That's not quite fair, but it's the same kind of storytelling that you would have expected at the dawn of our civilization, where the storytellers would go from village to village and convey information, news, tell stories, and keep the tales of alive, like the Iliad,
Okay.
the Odyssey. Those are the kind of things that we see as valuable. But entertainment, yes. Is there messages? Yeah, there's good knowledge to be had, and it's a very satisfying exercise.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot of work. I think you've written more books than any of my other guests have. And I've had some who've written quite a few books. But I was also looking at your bio, and says you make wine.
I have been known to make some of the fermented grape. Correct. Yes.
How'd you get into that?
Well, fermented rice too.
Oh,
There's the sake thing in
okay.
there.
Ooh.
Now there we go. There's something. How'd you get into that?
It goes back a long ways when my dad one day showed up. He was a rather remarkable individual. We'll talk about him some other time. He said, you know what we need to do? I've got all these trees on the property, and we had this bounty of apricots one time. And he goes, "What are you gonna do with all these?" And he goes, "Let's make wine."
Okay.
Just out of the blue, so we taught ourselves about winemaking with extra fruit, and then it was like, well, let's make some mead. I said,
Yeah.
"Great. What is mead?" And he goes, "Well, it's honey wine. It's what the
Yeah.
guys from jolly old England would always would brew." So we did that too, and that was that takes a little more time to be able to ferment because of the way that the constitution is. But it's fun trying to stretch.
Yeah.
To Richard's point, learn something. Learn something about yourself. Learn something about somebody else. Try something. I think somebody said it best when they said, "You should always try something new that you're going to suck at." And, that's what you're going to learn.
Yep.
You're going to learn the most.
Yeah. You don't learn anything until you suck at something.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've told more than one person. Yeah. Anytime you're starting something, you're gonna suck at it. Yeah. So you got to keep moving. I do.
Yeah. There were a couple of batches of wine that, well, it went down the sink.
Yeah. I do beer and cider, and which reminds me, I've got a batch of apple juice waiting for the opportunity to become something more. I also got a still, but I haven't. I've been trying to do practice batches, and nothing's come out right so far. That's that one that I'm a little more worried about because that can be dangerous. You ever tried distilling?
No, that's a little bit outside my outside my skill set and my interests.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, yeah, I love I never took biology in school, but watching and creating and learning how the different ingredients mesh with the various strains of bacteria that the yeast that you might use to ferment a batch of what have you.
Hey, Bill, your voice is kind of
Oh.
trailing to me at
Let
least.
me double check my levels here and see.
That's better right
Okay.
now. Maybe it was just me.
Maybe there's a lot of noise in the background. I didn't double check to make sure I got the right microphone on here. Let's see. Setting. Audio. Yeah, it sounds like a. No, I'm on the right microphone. Yeah, it sounds like a freeway. Like we got somebody on
Yeah,
the freeway.
that's what I'm hearing too, Bill.
Okay. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to make that go. I do more cooking than I do brewing. But
Bill, we're losing you.
Uh-oh. Okay. Wow. Let me.
Hey, Richard, while Bill's sorting that out, so, what are some of the fun things you like to do?
That I like to do. Well,
Yeah, besides playing pinball, which I'm all about your pinball machine.
if you consider the gym fun, I like to work
Okay.
out every day.
Yeah,
And since I've been here, my wife is really into gardening and farming. So what I like to do is learn a lot about the local plants and flowers and fruits that they have here. So I've been really into ecotourism in Costa Rica.
Oh, nice.
And, the beaches are beautiful. I like to go and zip lining and the waterfalls. And so a lot of it's just natural traveling and try to decompress so I can get away from everything and really just enjoy special time. It's me time. It orders me to recharge my batteries, put things into perspective. And once you put your phone away, then you really see where your priorities are. And so it's very important from time to time to be able to reset myself.
Yeah,
I like that. And I like the butterflies of Costa Rica. Costa Rica has some of the most dramatically gorgeous butterflies with
It's
colors.
amazing, isn't it?
You
Yeah.
think the colors came out of the 128 color Crayola box. I mean,
I mean, it's breathtaking the first time you come here and you're in the middle of a rainforest and you see these things. And it's just, growing up in Philadelphia, it was wonderful. I'm very proud of my city and the Four Seasons. But when you move somewhere else and the things you grew up with that were held with such importance, it might not make a difference where you go. And so a lot of it is who you are, not what you bring with you. And I almost had to start from scratch again, or let's even say shedding a skin. And so by learning a second language assisted me, but really it was about having an open mind and being very patient and knowing I'm a guest here. And that's enabled the last 22 years just to be a phenomenal experience.
Aren't there a whole lot of expats in Costa Rica?
More than you know. Charles,
Well,
I mean, the cost of living here is a third, medical tourism, and I tell you, it's a very healthy lifestyle. They have an expression here called pura vida, which means pure life. And I don't know about you, but I think if you're relaxed, you might live another 10 years.
well, this is very true. When I spent time in Brazil, I found it very similar to that in some ways. In other ways, it was very bustling and but breathtaking vistas.
But you need to get out of the major
whole
cities.
area.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Where did you go in Brazil, Rox?
Well, through Sao Paulo, and then I made it all the way over to Iguazu Falls and got to be at the three corners of Paraguay and that whole thing. And so it was fun. It was just fun. Sao Paulo itself was ginormous as a city goes, but got to visit out on the countryside where the lush vegetation and the friendly people and the just the lifestyle, as you mentioned, is calming in many ways, much more so than here.
I believe that we're very fortunate to have grown up where we were. And secondly, when I've been to places where, let's just say, some people don't even have electricity, but they're living on the side of a river, and let's say San Juan, they steal it in Nicaragua, I've seen the happiest people ever. I mean, I've seen people that if they have a meal that day, if the kids are fed and just the sun is shining, they're happy. And so the things that we get so upset about, if our phone breaks, if the train is late, you miss your flight, it's incredible where some people don't even care about those sort of things. And so really what I needed to do by especially growing up in the United States for my first, couple decades of my life was to separate myself from the opinions that were provided for me and the things that were the expectations. And so I guess it's very humbling when you see how people are living and they're much more satisfied than a lot of people that have, as you would say, much more.
Reminds
Yeah, it's
me.
one of the
Oh,
elements. Oh, sorry,
no,
Bill.
it's okay.
Go ahead.
No, please, ladies first.
It's just one of the elements that we also weave into all the stories is all the different places that we have been fortunate enough to be able to go to. And because the lifestyles are different, because the attitudes are different. And I think they add a lot of value to individuals to see other sides of the world.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bill?
Absolutely. I've heard it said that the travel is the best educator, and I've certainly found it to be true. Something that Richard was saying about people without electricity reminded me of my last trip to the Philippines, and we were traveling down the Pansanghang. See, I'm butchering how to say it. Pansanghang River, there's all this primeval vegetation going up the canyon walls and all this natural beauty, and we came to an area where there was some land that you could have a little footing, and somebody had set up a lean-to, and they had a generator and a karaoke machine, and they were perfectly happy. Just singing away, just as loud and as terrible as you can.
A karaoke machine?
There was
really?
a generator and a karaoke
I can see a
machine.
margarita machine, but I can't see a karaoke machine. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the Philippines aren't as much into the liquor, I don't think, as a lot of other places are. But yeah, they were. That was. Life was okay because they had that, and I think we take for granted a lot of not just the advantages, but the time that we have for relaxation, for playing pinball, and what all else. What do you think about the advantages of being able to travel? Let's hear some more experiences of traveling around the world.
Well, it's always an eye-opening experience. I like the guided tours that we go on. I've been on where I get some of the most interesting insight about America from somebody else that's from the outside looking in, and sometimes it's quite remarkable. I guess the one I would probably call your attention to was when I went to Moscow,
Okay.
Russia. This is 2011 time frame, and we got on a cruise. I get this, it's a canal cruise from Moscow to St. Petersburg. We had to go through almost 30 locks.
Wow.
That raised and lowered the water level because all of their interior traffic was fed with the shipping coming in from the Baltic Sea. Remarkable people, and the things that they had to say were extraordinary. But they were the one that probably caught my attention the most. They brought some college age kids on, and we're just asking questions back and forth. And somebody asked, "Okay, what's your favorite movie?" And this Russian gal blurts out at the top, almost top of her lungs, she goes, "Pulp Fiction." just that, like absolutely, that's the best movie there ever was. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's interesting to see how far culture travels and where it's going to end up and who's going to be affected by it. So it's a fun exercise.
Yeah, I grew up in a military family, So we moved around quite a bit. I've lived in Okinawa, Japan, and been to Hong Kong and the Philippines, of course, and Korea. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just
I can relate to that because I'm an ex-Air Force brat
okay.
myself. I didn't realize people didn't live out of a box until I was 13. I mean, we were always
Yep,
moving.
yep.
Oh,
Yeah, I know that, and the feeling that that when you unpack that final box, it's time to move again.
well, that's why you didn't unpack it. Hey, we're going to be moving in 2 years, whether I needed to or not.
Yep.
You know, so yes, I got that taste of living in Germany, living in the UK, all over North America. Now that's we got a chance to be able to meet and talk with people, and you had to make friends because you're old.
Absolutely. Richard, where are some other places you've been to?
I've been a lot of different places, but my favorite part of traveling out of anything is when I'm invited into somebody's home for a meal. I mean, it's incredible when you meet their family and you get to taste a local dish, but I see it as more as a huge compliment and an honor to sit at somebody's table. And so I've been very fortunate visiting friends and things like that. So, but when I was a junior in college, I spent my entire year abroad in Europe, 93 and 94, and I stayed over the winter of 93. I didn't go back to the States. I was in Europe for 10 months, living in Spain, but then over that Christmas break, I was able to travel to about 14 countries. So
Wow.
you're doing the Eurail, you're staying in the youth hostels, and this is 93. And so you don't have your cell phones on your computers. It was still old school. You're reading books, you're staying up late, drinking coffee, talking to people. You're making plans and meeting up and doing the things how we grew up. And I'm actually still in touch with a lot of the people that I went on those adventures with. But I tell you what, when I was there and a lot of people were off to the beaches, the bars, the parties, and trust me, I was there. But if nobody wanted to go to the Louvre or to Peggy Guggenheim or just to some of these amazing museums, castles, and churches, I would sometimes have to go by myself because I didn't want to miss out. And so
Yeah.
I would catch up with you a little bit later. Charles, save me a seat and I'll be there. But I realized at 21 that it's not like dad's bringing you to a museum on a Sunday when you want to be with your friends playing hockey. You did it for yourself. And when you see some of these art pieces and these buildings, it's almost like meeting a celebrity. And I think that's when I really became a little bit more mature in regards to life and to art and where I was going with myself. And so that was probably one of the greatest experiences I ever have. I even kept a diary
Wow.
for 2 months and I read it again. And I was like, man, I remember that. It's rated R, so I'm not bringing anything on this show. But I do realize this, that I was clicking heels and having fun at 21. I do know that.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Yeah. I like visiting old places and touching old things because it's like making a physical connection to the past, to the history of the place, like old churches, cathedrals, and ruins and whatnot. I remember in Japan we went to quite a few old castles because they have them there too, and just feeling this connection to the past that was unbelievable. Um, but yeah, I've never been to the other side of the pond, as it were. But that is one of the plans. That and going to Costa Rica. But but you're right about being invited, even at home, being invited into someone's home to share a meal is an unbelievable, can be an unbelievable experience because you don't eat with your enemies. You eat with friends, you eat with family, and to be given an opportunity like that is just something else. what was it? I was reading because we were looking into going over and seeing Israel, and found out that there's a program over there that where tourists get to eat a meal with a host family, and I just thought that was just such an amazing opportunity to see local dishes, local customs, and be in that kind of a relaxed environment to meet the real people, which is always something I like doing with when traveling. Is seeing the reality of the situation, because it is different. Even going from place to place in the United States, can be that kind of an experience, because cultures change drastically from place to place. I mean, I live here in Southern California, where there are 3 million people in my county, in Orange County, and my parents live in a town in Missouri of 16,000. There's barely 10% of the population within 50 miles of their home, that there is within 25 miles of mine, and it changes perspective on what's important, and can really move things home. Rox, how about you? What other travel experiences have you had? Or anything special from, because Brazil sounded really interesting.
Brazil was very interesting. Going to some of the rainforest areas,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at some of the homemade furniture in that area, I found just remarkable as could be. I happen to have a piano that was made out of rosewood, Brazilian
Okay.
rosewood, which you can no longer get
Right.
in this country. And it's just the wood there is fabulous, and it's totally different from a lot of the forests here in the United States, which I've seen many of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked your comment, Bill, about the population difference between Orange County and where your folks live. And
Yeah.
I think, because I grew up in a small town, suburbia, and Austin, Dallas are certainly not small towns.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that the bigger the town, the less you know people.
Yeah.
You don't seem to get as connected to people and breaking bread with all of the neighbors, because everybody's so transient.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I at least have an excuse, and Richard, please forgive me, I don't speak Spanish, at least not very much. Um, I do go to a Spanish-speaking church, which is another story, but so my excuse for not really knowing my neighbors that well is that we don't really speak the same language, at least not comfortably, and all. But it's a very lame excuse, and I need to do better than that. Back years ago, when I lived in a house full of college roommates, one of those roommates, she made it her mission to meet and exchange pleasantries with our neighbors. She baked up, I don't remember what it was like cookies or something, and she went from neighbor's house to neighbor's house, learning who was there and what was going on, and just making a great example. It was really cool. We ended up meeting a lot of really interesting people, and one family that wasn't so open to meeting college age kids. But yeah, it completely changed my outlook on the place that I lived, because it involved me in the neighborhood. And when you're in a big place, because there's probably a couple hundred apartments in the complex I'm in, and that can be as many as a small town in some places. How about you, Charles? You always lived in the big city, or are you a country boy? Did we lose you, Charles?
There, I'm back.
Okay.
I've lived all over. Frankfurt, Germany, Dallas, Phoenix, Arizona. There's just because of the way my father was in the Air
That's right.
Force.
That's
We
right.
just
You said that, Air Force.
we moved around, and when we were in Germany, we traveled. We just went from here to there, and just seeing the sights. Got a chance to be able to see, like Richard, some of the cathedrals, some of the things that you won't ever get a chance to go back and see, because it's just the lesson was always, you're here. When I was in Russia, we went to the Tempelhof, and the couple we were traveling with, they got furious because they jumped the price by 40% to get into the area, and they said, we're not going to do it. I said, well, you know what? I'm not coming back here for a cheap, waiting for a cheaper price. Okay, I'm here. I'm going to go. If they want to charge me for 40%, I'll remember that. But what a remarkable experience to see all that gold, and all of the statues, and Peter the Great, that apparently had a tremendous sense of humor, because he had several prank settings in there where people who were going along all of a sudden got squirted by one of the statues. You don't get to see that stuff all the time, so it's like, hey, don't squander those opportunities, like Richard. I mean, I regret the time that we landed in Le Havre, and never. My mom didn't want to go to Paris, so I've never seen Paris, because we had to go around it to be able to humor her. So we didn't see all that, but I got to see a great deal of German culture. But it was an interesting experience, and I wouldn't. I would advocate it to anybody. So much so that my daughters, they went to the people-to-people exchange. And they got to go to places that I still haven't gone to yet. I sent the oldest one to Europe, and she went all around and learned that that they eat tomatoes for breakfast, cooked. And it was completely foreign to her, and it wasn't until I was in traveling for my company in Ireland, where I figured out why she said, because she came down and found a bunch of tomatoes, and this must be breakfast, and she went ahead and chowed them down. She didn't realize they're supposed to be cut in half, baked, and that's how they're served in Europe. So it was, those funny stories that you don't get until you piece together, how that culture operates.
Some family friends from when I was living in Tennessee, or Tuckasee, I should say, because we were literally right on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee, and so much so that even though Fort Campbell is considered Kentucky, our house was actually in Tennessee on base. But some friends had been on a European trip, and they had been eating native, and which is always the way to go if you absolutely can. But they were homesick and wanted a quote unquote normal breakfast, and so they ordered ham and eggs from the hotel they were at, and but what arrived was a plate piled high with scrambled eggs with little pieces of pork fat arranged around the edges. Because they didn't understand what they meant by ham and eggs. And we were talking about that. What was it? We were watching that Ted Lasso series, and in one scene, the guy's reading a letter from Ted Lasso's in England, coaching a soccer team, and he's reading a letter from the team psychologist, and he's reading, and he said, "Oh, you misspelled favorite, and my and Rudy was was like was kind of silent there for a second, and I told him, oh well, that's because in England they spell favorite with a U. And we thought it was funny because they're just even those little differences can be very telling. Knowing that favorite and judgment and jail are all spelled differently in England than they are here in the United States. Oh, okay, I see you.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the things that we always kid about is like things that you say in this United States, and how do you say it
Right.
in that country? Like, uh, uh, English muffins. What do you call that in the UK?
Are they just muffins?
They're not English muffins.
Oh, I did find that
I'm just asking.
in Hong Kong at least they do call it Chinese food. Yeah,
Do they
there was
really?
I was there. I was pretty much just there for a day, but there was a sign at a little restaurant. It said Chinese food. It didn't just say food, like I was kind of expecting. But yeah, yeah, I thought that was funny. But of course, because I was only able to go into really touristy areas, because of the short time frame I had, I think that may have been the reason why it was Chinese food and not just food. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course, it's all about your frame of. We have a very in many ways, I think Americans in this country have a narrow frame of reference, thinking that everything is just like what we see. And, Richard, as you so aptly pointed out, that's not the case. There's always different things. You can bring your own frame of reference with you, but boy, does it get expanded when you visit somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking about old time, about history and whatnot. One of my favorite movies is The Third Man, and of course, the character's name escapes me at the moment, but the quintessential ugly American who took his narrow frame of reference with him to Europe and in post World War II Europe, and almost insisted upon things being his way, and having that be an influence to me in my travels, as limited as they've been so far. But
Orson Welles. Orson Welles was the
Orson Welles, great movie. If you haven't seen The Third Man, I highly recommend it.
classic.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, taking that frame of reference around with you really doesn't help. You need to break that frame and go frameless. Well, I saw Charles. I saw your note that you all need to get going pretty soon, which is too bad. This was interesting. Have to have everybody on again.
That would be fine with me. It's all right. We our day jobs starting to nag at us, and apologies to you and Richard to cut the fun session short, but to be able to afford to live in this best of all possible worlds, we do have other commitments.
Oh, see, now we could start getting into books with the Voltaire reference. To do the last bit of promotional work, the website is enigmabookseries.com. The link will be in the description. Let's see, where all can they buy the books?
So the books can be purchased certainly from Amazon. They can also be purchased off of our website. Okay. If somebody wants to have a signed copy of a book, we're happy to have you purchase them off the website. We'll sign them and ship them. In the United States, we actually will ship for free in the continental United States. Unfortunately, Costa Rica is a little more expensive than that, so we have to check the rates to do that. But there's also a whole host of, I think there's 10 short stories out as well, Bill, that are kind of like backstories to the series that are also highlighted and available. And the books, the novels themselves from the series come in Audible
Okay.
or audiobooks. So they are available in lots of locations as
Great.
well.
Yeah, I'm sure what is it, audible.com probably has them, and that's always a great source for getting talk about giving Jeff Bezos a few more dollars.
That's it. Yeah, exactly right.
So cool. That's awesome. Anything else? Anything else you wanted to promote before you go?
Charles, I'll leave it to you.
I'm hoping that you guys will have a great new year and a wonderful next
You
year
too.
as a follow-on. So that's what I want to promote. And that your show will be remarkable, and you'll have many people clamoring to be able to be in your masterpiece course.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, 2023 is going to be the best year yet.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Richard, what a delight to meet you. Next time I come to Costa Rica, I want to come and play on the on the arcade that you've got
Yeah,
going on there.
I got dibs on the Pac-Man, okay? Because I still, that's the only game I still love.
Open invitation for everybody, and it's a pleasure meeting both you, Charles and Rox. And on my end, I have a Facebook fan page, about 105,000 local
Cool.
Costa Rican Ticos. And so when this episode goes live, I hope I do my part in selling some more of your books for you. And it will also give the audience a chance to see the business process outsourcing industry in Central America. We're real quick, just north of Panama, south of Nicaragua, the only democratic society in Central America. There's no standing army, so all the money got put back into education, and there's a 95% literacy rate.
Wow.
Amazon, HP, Intel, and Oracle are here. We're known for neutral English accents, for eco-tourism, as Rox knows, and also for medical tourism. Plus your buddy Richard is here, and I got 1,000 suggestions for you.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, don't go
Excellent.
somewhere you don't know somebody. That's always the best way to go traveling. Know somebody who's there, who knows the lay of the land and can show you the real world.
Richard, a truly nice experience being able to get to listen to you. And Bill, many thanks for inviting us all together. Much appreciated.
No, thank you. I'm glad we got everything straightened out. Yeah, it was turned out it was my mistake. I'd completely forgotten about the emails talking about the 12th and never changed the calendar. And so I have other people booked then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad we got the four of us together for this. It was a great time. Well, I'll let you all get going. Huh? Sorry,
Yep.
Rox?
It was a great time and an honor to be part of this fun group. Truly.
Oh, the honor was all mine.
All right.
So thank you
folks.
again, and
Thanks,
have
Bill.
yourselves a wonderful whenever.
Wow.
Bye. And to the audience, thank you for joining us. Have yourselves a wonderful whenever you happen to be watching. And be safe out there and wash your hands. And stay tuned for the ending credits. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank my producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host. I'd like to thank my Ed McMahon, my beloved Rudy Corlew.
Yes.
And our special guests, Richard Blank, Rox Burkey, and Charles Breakfield. It was a pleasure to get to know all three of you. If you feel so led, support the show over on Patreon. We're known as Bald Spots Pro over there. There are lots of interesting rewards for supporting the show. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. New episodes generally air on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but they're all available for you forever. Tune in next time for Randy Lee Boslaw and Stacy Chilemi. Please like, comment, and share to stay informed. Subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. So thanks again for tuning in, and have a wonderful time. Bye.